It finally happened. It finally happened. We got that scene from the manga. All the manga fans are like waiting for this one scene where Azul finally breaks. And my gosh, it was glorious. Although, unfortunately, not very much animated. There's certain parts of it that they did a good job of animating. Let's be honest, it really does feel like Asahi Productions is struggling with this series. And I didn't expect too much from them, but at least we're getting some pretty good shots. And it's good coloring, it's got good style, they're nailing all the other stuff around it, like the sound, and my gosh, the voicing has been doing so good. But I there is a side of me that is almost kind of hoping that this is a good sign. I know that's shocking to hear, I know. This is a good sign right here that they're dialing back a little bit, because as I've alluded to before with previous videos on this series, from here on out, it gets crazy. Like, literally, the mangaka, when they get to this point, from this point on, well, technically, again, because they kind of rearrange things, the story from this point on is going to be crazy action. It's almost as like the mangaka just turns into, like, a super lewd and thirsty shonen writer. Because every panel is just gorgeous, crazy action and ecchi all over the place. So, hopefully, the coming episodes, this big arc that's coming up, is going to be well animated. And I think I have my ideas as to where it can stop. There's actually a good stopping point if they choose to do that. But yes, this episode, I will say that there's a side of me that is a little bit fearful or a little bit disappointed in the idea that technically the first half of this episode is filler. Yes, I mean, based on somebody else that kind of confirmed it, I pretty much went through the entire manga looking for these shots and nothing was there. So the whole thing around Utena's past, her watching this magical girl show and going to the exhibit, all that stuff was original. Now, I think it's good. So far, even though I had my concerns, I think a lot of the readjusting and moving things around has been good. Despite my issues with, when Utena was trying to fix Morino's doll, she was literally thinking about Azul. This was why she was thinking about Azul. This episode is why she was thinking about Azul. She's literally like, I broke her. I did something horrible to her. She looks so messed up. She's starting to be like, crap, I'm really messing with these girls. Like, this girl's broken. But this, I think, worked well, because I think this first half, although original, it was a good way of showing both Utena why she would get so mad, and Azul why this is a bad thing. It's literally giving a lot of setup for why the two characters are in the position they are at the end. It gives that heartbreak, technically, from Azul's perspective, and yes, you understand why Utena gets so mad. It's a reminder that despite the fact that the last, 6 episodes has been this Utena going into this dark state, yes, deep down inside, she is a fan of magical girls. And so, yes, she's going to get mad. And that's exactly what she does. She gets mad. Like, what the hell are you doing? There was a side of me that, when I seen those panels, I didn't really read it. Like I said, I usually scan to kind of see where things are at. I don't want to actually read it. I just want to get an idea where they're at in the chapters. There was a side of me that almost thought when I skimmed through it that this was going to be Utena as Baiser, her being mad that Azul is no longer fighting. That it was her, yes, BDSM kind of side being upset and bored at how you're already broken. You're no longer entertaining. You're not fighting back. I want you to struggle. I want you to fight. And you're not fighting anymore. And I think it's sort of technically still the same thing, but it is a interesting kind of thing thrown into this dumb show, is I love where the characters go. And that's something that has me excited for what's to come, and I really do hope that they end up doing a second season. Is the most clever thing in this is that it's almost like, yes, we all come here for the ecchi shenanigans and comedy, but deep down inside there's actually some good writing in here about how these characters are just going nuts, and I love that aspect. That's like one of the most entertaining aspects of the series, is seeing how these characters are slowly losing their minds. Azul is literally this prim and proper girl, like they kind of describe at the very beginning. She's the woman that all the girls want to become, and then suddenly, yeah, Utena even says it herself, that's not been the case anymore. She's yeah, she's not putting up a fight, and she's kind of just going with the flow. She's whatever the mistress wants, and it's like, that's not Azul. That's not my girl. She has become to the point where she likes what's being done to her, and she wants more of it. Please, mistress, more. That's that descent in the madness. And yes, I love them for the most of like all of the characters is Utena. Seeing her go from, yes, as we see in this episode, she's watching Magical Girl. She's super happy. Oh my gosh, she's fighting for justice. But the key thing here is that even right here is solidifying that it wasn't what Vena thinks, that, oh, you always wanted to see them fight. No, deep down, I think deep down in Utena, she loved this sense of justice. They're fighting for justice. They're trying to save everybody. That's what she originally loved and fell in love with the Magical Girls. So yeah, we get the whole original. Yes, all this is original technically. The whole backflash with Utena as a kid, her going to the exhibit. There, she's just super happy buying up a bunch of stuff. But it was all like because she still loves these Magical Girls, loves what they do, and loves supporting them. And then on the other side, we have Azul, who is trying to rediscover herself. This whole original segment is her trying to rediscover herself and to show to us that, yes, she has a sense of justice. She was brought in because she tried to save some girl. Magenta came in and helped them out. It says, hey, become a magical girl, just like with the sulfur. It's not very complicated here. It's you did a good thing. Become magical girl. By the way, I'm Haruka. Going into that whole thing, becoming a magical girl, fighting for justice, all leading up to this point where she's like, okay, I've rediscovered myself. I want to take her down. Go out there in the middle of the night. I like how Utena shows up. He's like, oh, so you came here by yourself. And then Utena's like, yeah, disappointed. And then he's sitting inside her head. She's like, well, technically Marino is asleep. And yes, technically Kiwi is on vacation. So that's all you got. But again, this whole segment is kind of that build up to them fighting. And yes, that point in which Azul literally breaks. She just suddenly out of nowhere get the heart eyes going on, get the heart eyes going on from like really thirsty shows, just saying, give me more. She wants it. She says, I'm too weak. Give me more. And wants to join her, basically, be at her side, follow her. And again, I didn't really kind of get that when I was skimming it. This is literally Azul saying, I want to be on your side. Or at least that's what obviously Utena gets from it. Is that you're literally giving up. You're not fighting anymore. And again, I thought it was going to be a thing of like, you're no longer entertaining. I don't want to bother with you anymore because you're giving up too easy. I want you to fight. As somebody that would be into that kind of thing, they want them to fight. I'm pretty sure there's a side of it that's where they like the idea of them begging for it. But obviously here it is literally Azul is saying, I want you to be, she's calling Baiser her mistress. And indicating the idea that you are my new leader. You are my new master. I will follow you. And that's not what... Again, this is where, yes, technically the side of the villain Baiser should be like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I've defeated her. I won. But she's never done that. She's always left before she defeats them. And that's what kind of confuses them all the time. Even Vena's kind of okay with it, but I think Vena's fine with the idea that Baiser's getting strong. Doesn't matter if she beat Azul or not. Who cares? Baiser's getting stronger. So as long as you keep getting stronger, she says, Vena technically says, just keep doing what you're doing. Because obviously sees that you're doing good and you're getting stronger. We could probably deal with the rest later on. But again, deep down, this is what I really love about this. Deep down, Utena comes out. The inner Utena, we're Baiser right now. She's defeating Azul. She's having all the fun she wants. She's getting what she wants. She's getting all thirsty and everything. She's loving what she's seeing. But then the deep down, the real Utena comes out and says, no, wait. What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be a fighter for justice. What the hell are you doing? You're trying to come to the dark side. It kind of translates out of the idea of like, that's like a cliche thing. Like you coming to the dark side, that is so cliche. Don't do that. They're subverting expectations and there's this bullshit. That was what it was. That was a pretty good translation. I admit that was a pretty good translation. But yeah, it's that whole idea of like, you're giving this up, have some dignity. You're a fighter of justice. Tres Magia is literally fighting for justice. You can't become the villain, shape the hell up. And it's kind of funny because like having the bad guy literally giving a pep talk to the good guy. But yeah, it was a really good scene and just her like freaking out. Now, here's an oddity in the anime. I went and double checked and I didn't see anything to do with Azul's pendant. Now, typically with magical girl shows, the pendant is like their power. It's it's almost like a core. And if that core is destroyed, it breaks their power. That's what's almost like kind of being a filter to fuel their power. and Azul's pendant breaks. I almost thought, because I seen that scene, I'm like, okay, is she going to change back to normal? Is she going to become Sayo? And no, she just kind of falls over. It's almost as if that was like her power, but not her transformation. She just falls over. Now, the oddity here is that the manga doesn't show the pendant. The pendant is never shown. Now, in symbolisms in the anime, I think it's pretty cool because it shows that breaking point. You don't see herself break. I mean, we do see her break, let's be honest. We see her break really badly. But it is kind of a good signification of her breaking. Now, the problem that comes from that is, yes, typically with magical girls, when that breaks, you're out of commission. And yes, in some cases, it's just a simple transform again and it restores itself. But the later part in this episode, when they show the other baddies, yes, they show them broken and sitting there on the ground, which sort of indicates that the idea that they are defeated magical girls. So, and that is in the manga. So the later scene with the pendants is in the manga, in the anime, but that first part with Azul's breaking is not in the manga, but it's in the anime. So it's like I guess they're trying to do a little bit of misdirection, which I apologize for those that are watching this that don't want to know that. It seemed like a little misdirection, or don't think that it's a spoiler, because technically they could reveal later on that, yes, her pendant was broken and that and maybe just the manga at that point didn't reveal that. That could be as well, so don't worry too much about it. But yes, the later scene, we finally get the introduction to the other baddies, and they have apparently been off hunting down magical girls, and they had 7 pendants sitting there, so they apparently took out 7 magical girls, and they've come back to find out what Vena's been doing. Vena's like, yeah, we got 3 new magical girls. They're doing a pretty good job, right? And yes, as you would expect, they all are going, no, these are weak. This is what you've been doing this whole time. But yeah, I'm super excited for this whole segment, especially one of the characters. We've seen her in the OP. She looks fantastic. I bet she's going to be super weird. Super weird. Matama. I've kind of been looking forward to Matama for a while now. I've seen a couple of shots of her in the manga, just kind of skimming through it, and she looks pretty crazy, but we'll see. Despite my issues with them moving things around and having that whole fixing Marino's doll situation not implying anything about Azul, it is kind of interesting that we did technically, with this being an original kind of segment here, we did still had that moment where Utena is struggling over what she's doing to them. And I think that kind of brings up an interesting question mark that, again, since it's original, it's kind of hard for me to kind of take it seriously besides it just being something very surface level, is, yes, Utena saying how much she enjoys the idea that she can now interact with them. I get to talk to them and everything like that. But at the same time, yeah, I'm also fighting them, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It is kind of one of those moments of girl, you're so mixed up in your own head, aren't you? If you like them, then yes, attacking them is probably a bad thing. But at the same time, yes, for you personally, a selfishness there is a good thing because you are getting something that you want. So it is a struggle of what's good for society and, yes, the magical girls, and what's good for you kind of situation. But yeah, that's episode 7 of Gushing Over Magical Girls. Cannot wait for the next episode. Like I said, I'm pretty much can't wait for the next, 6 episodes. It's going to get really crazy. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that Asahi Production nails it. Please keep it together. Don't fall apart, studio. Again, I like to be a glass half full kind of person, so my hope is that we've seen this kind of decline in quality and a little bit of wonkiness to the character designs just because they're putting all their efforts into the coming episodes. Maybe that's all their team has been working on that while these guys are over here just trying to keep the show going. That's my only hope. But hopefully they keep things together, and the introductions coming up here are going to be fantastic and it has a really good stopping point. But until then, I'll be back here next week to talk about it, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know the style of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content and news reviews, first impressions, top list if it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content, you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody does, and y'all take care.